Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you. We used to march in with that song every Sunday. We come this far by faith.
Yes.
And we do come this far by faith. Welcome to everyone here. This wonderful November 5th, 2023. And I'm hoping that all the ones that didn't change their clocks back came to this service that happened an hour ago.
Some of us did.
Which was in the parking lot because they couldn't get in, except for the Sunday school. We're going to start off this morning by having, well, let's give Gilbert Zachary a big round of applause for that. It's always good to have music here. If you would, just relax as we do the invocation. Infinite Spirit, in whom we live, move, and have our being, we acknowledge. We acknowledge the presence, we acknowledge the power, we acknowledge the allness of God that is in this service this morning. With each and every person that's here, each and every person that's on the way, each and every person that's doing anything to support this wonderful Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. Each and every person on Zoom. And we know that we are all blessed. We are blessed. And we know that our blessed minister, Reverend June Clark, is going to bring the word to us. And I just give thanks for this time that we have together this morning and know that we are blessed. And if you're in agreement with me, we can say to this, and so it is. And so I let it be. Welcome again to Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. 2653 South Taylor Road in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. It's this wonderful chill out there in the air. It feels wonderful. Monthly theme is the mundane, the sacred, and the profane. The weekly topic title is the mundane. Welcome to this house of God, and I'm the practitioner today. I'm Jerry Lawson. From Colossians 3:16, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God. And now for the song. The song is a wonderful, wonderful song. It's from the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. The next time I'm in New York, I'm going to stop in and check out the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. They look fantastic on this YouTube. So if you would, magnify the Lord forever. Our monthly, and that is from Psalms 34, if you want to look it up later on. And it's called Taste and See by the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir, and we'll hear a little bit more later on. Our monthly theme summary is, following Exploring Paradox in October, we delve into how we categorize life, separating and judging based on perceived importance. We examine each of the three, the ordinary mundane life, the perceived sacred life with its rules and practices, the profane or secular life, i.e. not spiritual life. And finally, have the aha that they are all aspects of the one. Summary of today's topic, I'm bored. I'm not bored. I'm bored. Anyone who's ever been a parent has heard that plaintive, often irritating whine from their children. Yeah, we know about that, don't we? As humans, we learn to categorize different aspects of life. We want to live in constant excitement, doing meaningful, world-changing activities. But we find that all these mundane things need doing. Dishes, shopping, cooking, taking out the garbage, etc. We just know that life could be so much more if we didn't have to deal with the mundane. But what if the ordinary were just as sacred, meaningful and valuable as everything else? From the science of mind point of view, the spirituals we look at are oneness, love, spiritual beings, and heaven. The oneness does not evaluate its creative expression as good, bad, exciting, dull, mundane, exciting, all by itself, good or joy. And all are loved equally, again without distinction. As we remember that we are spiritual beings having spiritual experiences in human form, we can release assessments and simply experience life, thus realizing we are already within heaven. Spiritual practices involve mindfulness, practicing the presence, being with the sacredness of what is, self-awareness, paying attention to when we label, judge, and disconnect from reality, and gratitude. Simply being grateful for all that is. Wow, sounds like we had the message this morning, a good part of it. Let's bring Reverend June to the podium as she talks about we can let go of categories.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't it wonderful, 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 wonderful to be here?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, sirree, Barbariba. Where'd that come from? High school, I think. Wow. Well, it's as the year has moved this year, I have told you that Centers for Spiritual Living has decided to do things theme-wise, and I would say that this year, especially the last few months, that it seems to me as if they're pretty much on a track of more focused, not just on the sacred, but on what we live through, what we do every day, and I like it. I like being reminded of what I am doing and what I am being is just okay. And I say just okay because not to say it as a negative, but that you really don't have to stress about your life. Because if you are aware of the science of mind principles, if you are aware of living every single moment to enhance your own particular blessings, your own good, there's nothing, the word selfish popped up in my mind because I can remember being said I was selfish because maybe I didn't want to give up half a piece of cake. It wasn't selfish, it was that I wanted the cake. So, but it's like we just go along and I'm so glad that I am who I am and what I am. And did it really take this long to get to that point? Oh, maybe, yeah, I guess it did, because all that was is all that is right now. So all that was is what is, and all that is yet to be is unknown, which means that it can only enhance what was and what already is. So, don't know why that popped up in my brain, but it did. So this morning, you're going to hear some more of that lovely song. I don't know why, maybe someone that knows a little bit more about Christian music can tell me why the title of that song is Taste and, where is it? Taste and See. Because it's a blend of a couple songs, I do believe. And when I found it, or when I listened to it, I said, that's a dilemma for me. So we're going to move right into, our clock says it's now 11:45. We ought to be in the social hall having social cookies and coffee and juice and stuff, but we know that one person fulfilled my mind. There's one person who was early this morning. Every season that we change our clock. And it's not just this church. It seems like every church I have been in for years that there's one person that, I was going to say forgets. There's one person that chooses to come and bless the church early, and there's one person that comes and blesses what has been. We'll put it that way. So this morning we were blessed early, and so here we go. So I just have to watch the clock and understand that I have not talked for 2 hours, just 30 minutes or whatever, 25 minutes, whatever it is. So my title is We Can Let Go of Categories. And just from what Jerry read this morning, it's these categories of what different words mean and what different attitudes mean, and is it okay to be lazy? I mean, lazy, just the word lazy. Oh, you're so lazy. I tell you, Mondays, Wednesdays, no, skip Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are kind of like my days to be lazy. And out of one of them, there's probably a day that the feet hit the floor and you do the necessary stuff to, what we do. Wash the face, brush the teeth. That's it. The nice old comfy jammies are on. The robe is on. The hair probably is brushed. And you look, that's okay for today. And it's a lazy day. Now, when we think about that, and we think about a category, lazy means you're not doing anything. Lazy means almost like you're good for nothing because you ain't doing nothing. That's a category, and it's a word. So today we're looking at mundane. And I thought to myself, I kind of sort of know what that is, but I really, really don't. So I had a lot of fun with creating some chances to look at the categories that we use and the references that we use. So I'm going to start with the paragraph here. We determine what is essential and what is not based on such categorizations. Where do we put what we do mentally? What words do we use? What do we think about other people if they're doing something other than maybe the norm is? So categorizations. So we're going to look at all that today. What if we are wrong sometime? Oh my goodness. What if we're wrong? I ought to send that to the U.S. government. What if we are wrong sometimes? In essence, why don't we look beyond the normal thought patterns, what we were raised to think about something, what maybe the news media says. If you start, let me see, Morning Joe comes on, I think at 6. He's got a 4-hour program. 6, and then he goes off at 10, and then Jose Ballard comes on at 10, and then 11, there's a lady that comes on, Maria something or other comes on, and then she's on till 12, and then the blonde lady, her name's not popping up for me, but she's been on forever. She's on until 1, and then somebody else comes on for 2 hours, and then somebody else comes on for 2 hours, somebody else comes on for 2 hours, and then they go back to hour until 11 o'clock. And that's just one station. I'm not advertising anybody, but that's one station. So, is it mundane to say that if you start at 6 and you listen all the way up to 11 o'clock to the broadcasters, mundane is doing something the same way? Or by 4 hours, if you're up that early, of Morning Joe, do you feel like you've heard it? Do you feel like you understand it? Do you feel like you gotta wait till 11 o'clock at night and it's over at 12 to finally say, oh, I got it? Just saying. I usually stop after Ari. I like Ari. And I like Joy. So, not again publicizing anybody or telling you who to watch or not to watch. But by the time I get to 6 or 7 o'clock, if I haven't gotten it, I'm not going to get it. So when we go through these words, it's kind of fun to make fun of ourselves and how we go about life. Like I said, take a day. Do what you got to do early in the morning, whatever, and then look in the mirror, wash your face, brush your teeth, and you're just as beautiful if you don't put on the eyelashes and you don't put on the lipstick and you're just fresh-faced and you have on the jammies and the bathrobe and you put on a pair of socks and slippers. Probably feed yourself. Sometimes it's not till 11 o'clock to get down those steps, get breakfast, then go back upstairs and sit down and click on the TV and watch junky stuff and then proceed on to the news and the news and the news and the news. And that's a good day. It really is. It's lazy,
Yes.
but it's a good day. So if you want to say, well, that sounds mundane to me, it's what sustains me is not to do the norm, not to fuss about this or fuss about that. I do answer the phone. Oh, you're up? Yeah, I'm up. Well, you're kind of early, aren't you? Yeah, I'm early. I don't tell them it's because they interrupt my solitude. So keep on doing what you do, no matter what the word is for somebody else. Be lazy. And that's just one word we're going to look at today. What if, let me start here. What if those tasks that we see as unimportant, ordinary, and mundane are gateways to seeing the infinite? Did I say anything about that lazy day that was sacrilegious? Did I say anything about that day that was not of God? Did I say anything about being lazy that did not assist in my health being better? My willingness to just know that God is within me, that God is as me, whether I have on the makeup or the different clothes or whatever. It's unimportant. It is unimportant about being ordinary, being mundane, and the gateways to seeing the infinite, that time of rest, that time of not opening a book that is secular or not, that time of blankly looking at the television, listening to a certain degree of non-listening, nothing wrong with that. But it's labeled mundane. And mundane is just okay. It's okay. And as we'll see in a little bit, there's nothing that doesn't have a top and a bottom that I can think of. We should not look forward to a hereafter without activity, but to a place where our work will be done in greater harmony with the divine law because of greater understanding. And that's from the Science of Mind, that attitude from page 384. And it's, I've begun to, not just for Sunday lessons, but I've begun to use this book, which the one I have at home is so raggedy and so marked up with different colors of emphasis, looking at different things. I'm beginning to look, maybe some of you do this with the Bible. I never have done this either with the Bible or the Science of Mind, but I'm beginning to stop and accepting what I'm thinking, accepting what I'm doing, to the point of every once in a while just checking it out, maybe in a way of how close can I get to God by just being me, by not being the superhero investigator of religious science, by not being the minister, by not being the practitioner, but just me as an individual, because the principles of Science of Mind are within me. I can't recite them, maybe some people can't. I don't memorize them. But just checking in. Am I living the principles of the Science of Mind? Let's go to the book. Let's look up a word like mundane. So I'm looking at page 384, and it's the third chapter down. And it's entitled, Shall We Rest in the Hereafter? The hereafter for me is 1 second after I've thought something or said something. It's after what I did before, so I'm not talking about death. When we came from the textbook, when we came into this life, we were met by loving friends who cared for us until we were able to care for ourselves. Judging the future by the past, we can believe that when we enter the larger life, there will be loving hands to greet us and loving friends to care for us until we become accustomed to our new surroundings. In that sense, I would say, and there is a writing for memorial services, for funerals, and that's what it speaks to, that when we pass from this existence, there will be friends and acquaintances and families there to greet us who have already taken that journey. We're not on that journey yet. But while we are here, we better be aware of where we want to be in consciousness as it relates to your belief in God. So we must be aware of where we are now, where we wish to be in that whatever it is, maybe it's a heck of a lot better than it is here. Maybe it's a heck of a lot worse than it is here. What do we know? Nothing. We just better live the principles, live the best that you can while we're here. We confidentially expect to meet friends who are on the other side and to know and be known. You don't want to have so few friends and nobody recognizes you when you get there. You got to live the good life. We cannot believe otherwise. We should not look forward to a hereafter without activity, but to a place where our work will be done in greater harmony with the divine law because of greater understanding. That is what we can do now. We can get greater understanding from friends, from acquaintances, from the Bible, from the book of Science and Mind, from the many, many philosophers that have lived before us. We can be better and better and better every single moment of our lives. And if it takes a lazy day to do it, that's a word that you can look at that as either the bottom or the top, whichever you choose. It's still activity. You're still feeding yourself with being who you choose to be at any given time. A place where there is nothing to do. See, my word lazy. There is nothing to do would be eternal boredom. Did Jerry read the word, I'm bored? And does it always come from children? No. No. Can you think of any reason in 2023, with all the inventions that have been invented, all the places that you can go for free, don't even have to pay, to be and not be bored? If you are bored, I have, 13, I think, steps that go up to my upstairs, and I have a rug on each step, and there's a little edge around each one. It needs to be cleaned out. So if you're bored, I got something you can do. Give you some activity. So just see, and I look at that every time I go up and I go down. So that keeps me from being bored. Yeah, you got to do that. That's an activity for you. So think about your own time that you're bored and think what else you might do to remove the boredom. With this understanding of eternity, we should not be able to view our passing in a different light. And again, it's back to the experience of leaving. The experience loses its sting, the grave its victory, when we realize the eternity of our own being. Last sentence here, not in here, but that I'm going to read. Nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. God will not let us stay in one place too long. And one that we talk about it at another time is grieving, whatever you're grieving the loss of an acceptance of anything. And people might have it's time, just ignore it. But whatever it is that is your space of boredom, tend not to ask somebody else what you can do, because it's your time, it's your beingness, it's your oneness with yourself. In all things, consider yourself and move forward from that point. So back to the bulletin. Bless everything you do as you begin. Dedicate it to loving spirit and experiencing spirit's love right back. I'm going to maybe get to this paragraph about Brother Lawrence, and I may not. But it's something interesting, and we'll be talking around this particular person anyway. But I'm going to move on to the word mundane. And I want to start on, should have brought my list in, okay. I'm going to start on page 396. 1, 2, 3. Mind as law is helpless without direction. If anything is going on in your life, where does it come from? Mind as law is helpless without direction. Who, what, how, whatever you want to say, tells you what to do and when to do it, how to do it, and actually why you are doing it is something that tends to be a wonderment. We don't always understand, now why did I do that? It seems to be more common than, I know why I did that. It has nowhere to go and nothing to do of itself, of God, of itself. The next sentence is in capital letters. It must be directed or it will do nothing of permanent worth for man. If what you are doing is not of permanent worth to you, I would suggest that you do a lazy day or do a very active day of reading Science of Mind textbook, the magazine, books that you might have on your shelf, including the Bible. Think of a word that is synonymous with what you are blocking in your life. You know, that takes some courage. It takes, as Reverend Mary Louise Ruffner used to say to us in class, it takes time to be with God. It takes courage to be with God. Not just because you know that you are a believer. You're a believer in God. You're a believer in Jesus the Christ. You're a believer in Buddha principles. You're a believer in the Greek philosophers' premises. You're in agreement and a believer in Judaism. You're a believer in Zoroastrianism. You're a believer in any religion that you can name because it is all God. You may not know it all text and word, just like I don't know everything from Catholicism, text and word, but it's still in here. It's still in the heart. It's still in the previous learning of God. The classes that I took in ministerial school were all those different religions and philosophers. They are still within me, and I can't cite them word and verse. Some I accept, some I don't. Some things in this textbook, Ernest Holmes, as brilliant as he was, maybe it doesn't fit for me that day. When I was doing previewing for what I wanted to say today, I had that old raggedy textbook of mine, Science of Mind book, and I looked at one of the references from the concordance, and I looked back in my raggedy book, and 11 November 98 was marked on the exact place that I'm going to be reading from today. And I said, this fits. And it also fit in November of 98. That would have been 1998. So what brightens your life, what brings you to understanding this moment, this breath, maybe meant nothing at all to you yesterday. What I think about, I had to do it toward my children, and then I can do it toward myself. What I have said to them at different times, every once in a while, I hear it coming back to me. And I say, oh my goodness, when did I tell them that? And now they're telling me like it's their original. So what we know is that we grow in what was mundane is now purposeful, it's now useful, it's now correct for us. So my next reference is from page 503. And I apologize for stumbling because I left my marked up sheet in the office, but we'll go ahead here. Let's see. Okay, the third paragraph. It is scientific to consciously let go of our troubles. It is most unwise to hold them. Some will say that it is right that we should suffer for our past errors. If something is in the category of mundane in your life, meaning unimportant, making you unhappy, unfulfilled, that you're bored with it, that, in a sense, meaning the same thing. I've done that over and over again. It doesn't really get me anywhere. It is right that we should suffer. We already have done so and will continue to do so until we pay the last farthing. Is that accurate? Is that the truth? It began with some say, but it's here in the Science of Mind. You got to look at that. You got to not let that stop you at that point that Ernest Holmes wrote. It is right that we should suffer. We already have done so and will continue to do so until we pay the last farthing. What is that? What is that? Is that what I'm doing? Is that I'm just stuck in this stuff? I'm doing it over and over again, and gosh, I thought I wasn't 16 anymore. I thought when I got 30 that I had let that go. I thought differently now that I'm in Science of Mind. I'm not Catholic anymore. I understand all these other philosophies. Still stuck until we pay the last farthing. Means penny, or lower than a penny. So don't just get to a point where that satisfies you. What satisfies you? What keeps us doing the same thing over and over again, the same way, without expecting different results? And you know what it is called? It's called insanity. And are we insane? Sometime I know I am. I mean, I am serious. But it doesn't take me long to kick myself in the you-know-what and get going again. And it's not because I have the lazy day. That's not why I'm lazy. I'm lazy because I know that feeds my soul at that moment. So don't look at what I said before about being lazy as this paying or keeping all that negative stuff just because I'm bored or that it fits. It fits in a different way. So the next sentence is, this is in capital letters, but the last farthing is paid when we let go and trust in the law of good. That's when you see the light, you look at yourself. It's so easy to look at someone else and judge them and label them and decide for them and know exactly what they need to be doing. Whether they're your family, whether they're your husband, your partner, your friend, your dog, your cat, whatever. You look at stuff, you look at people, you listen to the government, and yeah, I guess they're right. Or, I know they sure are wrong because that's not the way I would do it. And that's darn right for sure. And that's the way it ought to be. So look at yourself. What mundane things are you doing in your life? And I'm just going to close my mouth for a few minutes. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to bring up, let's just do one word. We'll do it very easily. One word that you would say is a mundane action in your life. Okay? You probably got 2 or 3 by this time. What if you put that as, we'll just say we're not going to judge it. We're not going to judge it. We're just going to say whatever your word is, it has an opposite. So look at that word and now come up with an opposite of that word. That is happy. That is beautiful, that is easy, that is bringing you awareness, that just pops up, and you sense and you know, I have seen the mundane, I have seen it and I know it, I have experienced it and I know it what it is. And it's okay. But at this moment, I'm going to bring another word right next to it. And I'm going to see the difference that looking at this particular action, this particular word, can buoy me up. Or when it's appropriate, that I can still use this word. But I have an opposite of it, which I can use at the perfect time also. When it needs to be different than the mundane. There's nothing wrong with the mundane. We cannot be flying high as a kite. The key word there is high. The key word is high. Think about what you might need to do in order to get high. We know what getting high means. And when you say it like that, we know what we're talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being brave enough to look at who you are right this minute, how you are living your life right now, and what is mundane in your existence, and what you can bring to that existence, that part of what exists in your life and bring up some positivity, the opposite of that feeling, that activity, and bless yourself when that feeling comes up or that word comes up or that activity comes up, and you bless it. And you bless it, and you feel the blessing. So I had a lot more references and words that are on my desk. God makes no mistakes. So I researched all that, and I got a wonderful blessing from that. So if you have words, or you have a dictionary, you have a thesaurus, you have the Science of Mind book that has the concordance in the back. I mean, there's so many words that have revelation. I don't know, there's 5, 10, at least 15 times that you can look up the word revelation and get a different meaning for that word. So get the dictionary out, get your thesaurus out, get your mind to opening up and saying, doggone it, I'm not going to use that word anymore. I'm not going to do that activity with the same attitude anymore. So that's what the lesson is in that for today. And I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about Brother Lawrence. And he wrote a book. He was as it says here, he was a monk. And I read this little thin brown book that he wrote, and he has letters in it to various people. And his premise in life became, as you can see, this was first published in 1692. The purpose of his life became, let me see, where it starts with Nicholas Harriman, down within the paragraph. Nicholas Harriman of Lorraine, better known as Brother Lawrence, was born in France in 1611 and came from humble origins. That fits for, we all just folk, we good folk. Humble is in the eye of the beholder. First serving as a soldier, then as a footman, he entered the Carmelite order in Paris as a lay brother at the age of 55. Obviously, you can change your life around, change your attitude. He was 55. Where he became a cook and immersed himself in the devotional life. For him, there was no distraction between the time of business and the time of prayer. And that is what hit me when I was in classwork at Riverside Center for, it wasn't Center for Spiritual Living then, but that's the church that it is now. And his whole premise was that he meditated as he peeled potatoes. He meditated as he washed the dishes. He had all the lower level common duties within the facility that he was a monk in. He didn't wear the fancy garments. He didn't care. He was, not that he was unable to do that, but that was not his choice. If he had the fancy garments on, he was just as religious as he was if he had his apron on covering up whatever he was shoveling hay in the barn. Whatever he did was a prayer. And I tell you this because what I decided at that time, and I'm not being facetious or anything like that, at that time he struck me so deeply that I remember going back to class because we were asked to speak to a time that Brother Lawrence's teaching spoke to us. And my offering to the class was I had 2 dogs, and they were fenced off to the side of the yard. And my reference to being in life in recognition of Brother Lawrence was, I told my class that when I picked up the dog waste in that part of the yard, that was my meditation time. Now, what can be your meditation time that you, when you brought up that word mundane, then you thought of something different, you thought of something more positive about it? What can be your meditate? Just start gradually, knowing that you are within the world of the principles of science of mind, you're in the world of God, you're in the world of knowing that you are simply God expressing no matter what you do, no matter what you think. So I'm going to bring up Laverne to do our reading, and then I'll do the treatment, and we'll hear the rest of that beautiful song.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Personal practical application. In parentheses and in quotes. What can you do? What will you do? That's from Jerry Lawson, Miracle Center Spiritual Living Practitioner, last Sunday, 10/29/23.
Amen.
Consider, what is a mundane task you dislike? Question mark. How can you practice being conscious as you do it? Question mark. What thoughts draw you away from being in the present moment? Can you trust that in spirit all is well? How can you remind yourself to stay present with what you are doing? We have been conditioned to believe that our lives should be about big, world-saving activities or high-impact moments of excitement. In response to the question, what comes after enlightenment? The Buddhist answers, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We live as humans no matter how enlightened. We are here to experience the spiritual in the human form. All of it is the dance of life. To believe that enlightenment transforms us to where so-called mundane tasks are no longer necessary is a fantasy. In the old days, carrying water from the river for cooking, cleaning, and gathering firewood for cooking and warmth were necessities for oneself and the community. But whereas before enlightenment, all had been duty and obligation with which the seeker had been in a struggle, after enlightenment, the same tasks were done with joy for the sake of the functions themselves. The Zen teacher Layman Pang said, "How miraculous and wondrous hauling water and collecting firewood. When we climb out of our categorization of things as mundane, we truly see that all is miraculous, all is God." And so it is.
Let's just move ourselves into the beautiful silence of our own heart, our own mind. God is simply all there is. The mundane, whatever identified as, the excitement, whatever identified as. The truth. There is no top, there is no bottom to God. Chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. Pray without ceasing. Doesn't mean you stop in traffic when you have a thought and you're driving your car and you have a spiritual awareness that you don't just strike out and whip around a car that might, for whatever reason, be slower or stopped. No. We just relax into the allness of God and that patience of living a good life and saying a silent prayer if there is an issue that is beholding someone. We move forward because God is all there is. It is within each and every one of us, each and every beingness. All is God. And as we do our treatment, as we do our breaths of life, as we know this truth, speak your heart to God. And how can we speak our heart if we do not take the time to go within? Check. I got rid of that. I'm doing this. Check. That works. It's wonderful. Check. I'm whole. I'm perfect. I'm complete. I'm God expressing. Check. It is wonderful to be alive. Check. This is what I must do to be wonderful and be alive. Check, check, check. As we look within, as we know ourself, we speak to God. We do God speak. We live through our actions. Our actions come from our thoughts. They are not mundane. They are opposite of something that needs to be brought to life, brought to light. And if we have a thought that is repetitious, it's repetitious because it needs to be recognized. Take who you are from moment to moment. First, claim perfect and wholeness and peace and harmony as your particular body temple. Know that you are God. Know that you are healed within the healing. There is a healing going on. Embrace it and love it. And move within that healing and that knowing that this is you. And as you present yourself to your world, no matter how small it appears to be, it is huge. Because you are not living in a cellular space. You are out in the world. You are showing yourself to the next God self that is within your experience. Not physically always, we know that. But know who you are. You're a divine emanation of God, of the oneness, of this allness, of this balanced universe, of the opposite, the yin and the yang that was spoken of last week. The yin and the yang. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And we're balanced. We're wonderful beings. Again, we must first know that we are whole, perfect, complete, and that whatever we choose to do is within that thought pattern. We're blessed, and we're blessed. And I accept this prayer, I accept these words, I accept the words that have been spoken, I accept the words that have been thought through you that have come to me out of the atmosphere of this wonderful time of being together. And what we have shared silently, we get each other by osmosis. And I simply give thanks for this awareness this morning, and I bless it, and I'm going to ask Chris to continue to play the song. It's a beautiful song. We live in the heart, we are the heart of God. Together let us say, and so it is. Amen. So you can do the collection, artists, and you can stay up, Fran.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Reverend June. Let's give Reverend June a round of applause for that wonderful message. That song is very, very beautiful, very, very, just brings out everything in you. Bless the Lord. Oh, and that choir. Woo. Like I said, the next time we're in New York, we have to go find that choir and find out when they're singing and go to a Sunday service. Something on my, what do they call that, bucket list? So now we'll just, we'll do the benediction, and then I'll give you the all of the things that are happening, all the announcements. So if you would, just relax, put your feet on the floor, take a nice deep breath. Infinite Spirit, we just give thanks for this time that we've had, this wonderful, wonderful Sunday morning. This morning that we bless the Lord, and we think about all of the mundane things that we do over and over and over again. Bless Reverend June for this wonderful message. Bless Gilbert for playing his beautiful music. Bless Christopher for taking care of all of the Zoom connections with the electronics. Bring us all of the other people that want to be part of our service. And we just know that as we go, we are blessed. We are blessed. We feel the blessing. And we just give thanks. And I release this treatment into the ethers, knowing that all is well. And if you're in agreement with me, you can say with me, and so it is. Amen. Amen and amen. Woo! It's a great Sunday.
Gotta come to church on Sunday.
Gotta come to church on Sunday. That's what Fran says all the time. You gotta come to church on Sunday. Now, for the announcements, the discussion of keys to wisdom has a temporary time change, I see here, for 3 weeks. Well, 1 week is gone already, so the next 2 weeks, the 9th and the 16th, will be on Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m.
4 to 5.
Or, excuse me, 4 to 5 p.m. Special announcement, Reverend Dorothy Wilson, minister at Living Truth Center, has made her transition. We extend our condolences to her family and members and friends of her church. Her memorial service will be held at Living Truth Center November 18th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in Harmony, Reverend June. For those of you that may know the folks over at Living Truth Center. And now for a fun activity. It's going to be happening on Saturday, December 2nd, so get your calendars out and mark that date for all of you that can make it to the social hall. That is a Saturday from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock for the small cost of $20, and you get 3 cards. It's called Creative Card Crafters. It's done by Jackie Lawson, my wife. We always have fun, make a little bit of a mess. But we make Christmas cards that you can give to your wonderful friends, or you can just make the cards and just put them away. But it's always
I frame them and hang them up.
or frame them and hang them up, or whatever you would like to do. It's a wonderful time of doing something with your hands and fingers. Jackie's doing that stuff all the time, where you can show off your Christmas card skills. So just remember, Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, from 11 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And for the small cost of $20, you can have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon and have fun with the rest of the church members. And of course, don't forget our podcast from your favorite podcast place. We haven't put any out in a little while. It's because we've been tied down with technical problems here. So we'll get back to that shortly. This completes today's service. We're going to sing the peace song for those that are here in attendance. And after that, we can speak with everybody that's out on Zoom.